Can't you see? Everyone! They're here already! You're next!
Let's go!
Welcome to the future, where the glass is half full and you'll need new glasses, where you'll be jumping from conclusions.
The past is annulled, and a new future is born!
Never before in history has so much meant so little to so many. AD on the radio.
So, it's happened again, Funkhauser. It continues to happen, and it's sort of curtailing my recreational activities, if you know what I mean. Every single time we have, and we're privileged to have, an adult entertainment legend, as we do on the show today, we kind of get to be friends. Like, that's a homegirl. See, even that creeps me out, Funkhauser. No sax on the phone. Thank you very much. But every time we have, someone new from the adult entertainment world on the show, we get to know them. And then, I'm there spending a little quality me time on the interwebs, trying to find myself a bit of executive relief. And I'm like, no, wait a second, I know her. That's my friend. Oh, different website. It's a predicament we find ourselves in. But you know what offsets the whole thing? That we get to hang out with Tasha Reign, adult entertainment legend, writer, and all-around sweetheart. Welcome to the show. Thank you for hanging out again.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Do you find that as people get to know you, that your work is a little bit more? No, it's not. It's not. Like, I just answered my own question. Like, I got to know you through this, and then I ran across you on the interwebs, and I was just like, oh, man. But if somebody knows you from that world and then becomes your friend, I would imagine there's not as much of a barrier to them enjoying that side of your work. Is that true?
I think that is pretty accurate. I think that's, people's lack of media literacy, actually, and it's complicated with dating. I lucked out because I found somebody that didn't know who I was, that met me, got to know me for 24 hours in a very chill, friendly way, like how you're interacting with me, and then eventually saw all of the other stuff I have to offer. And that's the way it is. It's the natural way it should be, and not the other way around. And so
no kidding.
Yeah.
So wait a second, you're your significant other. How did you meet? What was this 24-hour period? What happened? How does one meet, hang out with for? Well, no. Like, how does one meet, hang out for 24 hours with, and eventually wind up dating Tasha Reign? If you think that this isn't on the mind of people listening, you're wrong. So begin at the beginning and end at the end. How did you guys meet?
Oh, AD, thank you for asking. So my significant other is a hip hop artist. He is a musician himself, and so he was shooting his very first video, and the director is a director that has shot just regular pretty headshots of me for, mainstream casting, and the director had also been to a house party at my house, and he said, wow, that would be a perfect location for this rap music video. So he hit me up, and he's like, hey, I'll pay you, a pretty great amount of money for just a few hours, like 6 hours. Do you think we can use your house for a location? I was like, oh my gosh, absolutely. Let's do it. And I should do it more often, but I don't because it's very time consuming and energy wise. And so anyway, so this guy shows up, my soon to be boyfriend, Apollo. And I look at him and I'm like, oh, I would date that guy. That guy's hot. And so I just introduced myself as Rachel. Hey, I'm Rachel. Nice to meet you. I own this house. Not own it. I live here because I don't own it. I rent it. And then I was like, okay, can I be in your video? So I threw on my bathing suit and I went outside with him and just jumped in his music video. And I was not the star of it, but at the same time, I think he liked that I took that initiative, and it was also his birthday. It was his 30th birthday, and I didn't know that, obviously, until that second when I met him, and then I ordered cupcakes to set, and I just had everybody celebrate it and, wish him a happy birthday, and I really talked to him as much as I could. He was shooting, and he was kind to himself, actually, and then he asked me if I wanted to do Runyon Canyon later on that week. And so we hung out the whole day, and then, eventually did Runyon Canyon, and it's happily ever after. We've been dating ever since.
Wow. And by the way, it speaks to what I was saying. I'm on your Twitter feed right now, just because I was like, let's see what Homegirl is up to as we talk to her. And it speaks to my earlier point about being sort of like your professional life is kind of not what is first in my mind, because I'm looking at this picture of you in which you are doing stuff. And what I'm immediately drawn to
What's she
is
doing?
that your
Cooking?
home?
Barbecuing?
No. Like, is that your home that this was shot in? Because I'm noticing the stove behind you. You're in a kitchen. It's really nice. It's all like stainless and stuff. And you know, if you've got a home that's fit to shoot a music video in, I'm going to guess that is that your stove?
Yeah, it is. I was cooking some vegan greenchef.com food for him last night, and I was webcamming at the same time, and I've been able to kind of incorporate him into my life in a really smooth way.
Is that so? Yeah, we'll get into the question I have to ask next. at Tasha Reign, if you want to see what we're talking about.
Houston's more stimulating talk radio, available anywhere you go on the iHeartRadio app. Download it now at kprcradio.com.
Where the left and right come together for fundamental truths. AD on the radio, on Twitter at ADSXE.
So our guest on the show today is legendary adult entertainer, writer, and all-around sweetheart, Tasha Reign. One of the most whip-smart people we've ever been fortunate enough to have on the show. And we are so stoked to have her here. Like, again, if you're just joining us, the question that I suppose came up quite naturally was, you have this relationship, and you said that you got to know your boyfriend over a 24-hour period where you were just hanging out. It was his birthday. You found out. You ordered cupcakes to the house because he was at your house shooting a rap video. He's a rapper. And if you go to at Tasha Reign on Twitter, I was just noticing there's a picture of you working professionally. And
An old picture, by the way, like 3
Oh,
years
okay,
ago.
so that's okay, right? Because like I was noticing in the background, I was like, "That's a really nice stove."
Oh, that's the picture you were. I thought you were talking about a picture where I was cooking food.
No.
That's like a house I rented 3 years ago to do this odd video, and I just used my old photos to promote my website because they're all on there.
Ah, gotcha. So that's not Apollo's Apollo in the picture.
No.
It segues into my next question, which was, has he become a part of that side of your professional life?
So no, Apollo is very supportive of me being me and doing what I enjoy to do. He even accompanied me to AVN for the very first time I've ever had a date to AVN and, the award show and the convention, and he's super helpful and sweet. But there comes a time in an adult performer's relationship, if they so choose to date outside of the industry, where even within the industry, where the male caller, maybe female caller, will ask them to not do other men anymore. That's just the way that it goes. It's pretty much unanimous unless you're in an open relationship. Yeah, and if you're a monogamous person like I am, if I'm in a relationship, I just, want to be with that one person aside from work. But what happens is that person gets, feelings, and they don't want you to work with other men, and that's only natural. That's just a human desire. And so I've been lucky enough to not really have a desire to seriously date guys in the last 6 years. Like, I've dated guys casually. They've even been in open relationships with me, whatever, but I've never had this desire to just, to be in love. And so now finally I'm 28 and I feel like, okay, well, that's what I want. So that's what I have. And he has asked me that when my contract expires in March with Elegant Angel to stop doing boys on camera. And a lot of people would say, well, aren't you a feminist? Just keep doing your work and find a guy that's okay with it. But, I can be a feminist and also respect my boyfriend's wishes as well. I don't mind that. I've given so much to my career, and he doesn't want me to retire. He says I can still, shoot with girls. That's no problem. But the thing is, I've put a lot of content out, and I even have like a huge showcase movie coming out this year with my first gangbang in it and stuff that I already shot. I don't feel this like huge desire to continue to work with other guys. I'm okay with just doing girl content. That's fine. So yeah, it's definitely encroached into my life, but that's okay. That's okay.
And I'm actually kind of glad to hear you say that, because I think that people that can have multiple things going on with multiple people, I think you fall into one of two categories. You are either incredibly evolved, where you are able to, in a very mentally sophisticated way, compartmentalize this sort of stuff, and your brain operates on a Dr. Spock type logical level where you are able to disassociate some of these things that I personally would never be able to disassociate. So I think you fall into, if you're okay with that sort of thing, I think you fall into one of two categories. Either you are incredibly highly evolved, or you are perhaps a scotch under-evolved and operating on a somewhat animalistic level. I know that might sound a bit judgmental, but for me, that's kind of how I feel. And it's refreshing to me that you would come in and say, hey, eventually you want to be monogamous, and that's okay, and that's cool. So that's very interesting to me.
Well, he's the one that, has said that it's his desire and his wish for me to stop shooting with other male talent. And if I needed to, and it was like my, huge desire to continue to do so, I would. But the truth is, when you start to fall in love with somebody, you just want to be with them. And maybe that's not universal, but just for me, although I can compartmentalize, I just don't have that urge. I'm like, I put in that work, and the person that I want to make love to at night is my boyfriend, and that's it. It's like, and
I was thinking about this driving in, and it actually wasn't going to be part of the conversation, like, how do you date within your industry? Because that's got to be so beat to hell, that subject, with, and so I was like, I'm not going to bother her with that hackneyed old thing. But you did bring it up, and I was thinking about this driving in. I was like, if there is somebody that's smart enough, that is highly enough evolved to be able to intellectually compartmentalize this sort of thing, it would definitely be Tasha. But like, that's cool that you want what you want, and it's also cool that he was sort of evolved enough himself to kind of deal with it. For how long you guys been together now?
Only a few months. So he. You know what? I honestly feel like if I really pushed it on him, he may have allowed it. I'm not really sure. He wasn't, creepy and aggressive about it either. It was just casual conversation that we were having. We hadn't really talked about my work, and he's just like, yeah, babe, like, I wouldn't want you to work with other guys the more serious we get. And so we just talked about it. It was fine. But you know what? He really supports like my sexuality and takes Instagram photos of me and lets me, he's cool. He lets me be me still.
Oh, what a giver, Funkhauser. He has a smoking hot girlfriend, and he supports her sexuality, and he's good enough to take pictures of her. Hold on while I connect the Nobel Academy.
Real Radio. Real Radio. 104.1.
Don't get the blues, get all the news. We mean all of you guys out there in Radio Land.
All aboard!
He's back. AD on the radio.
Give it up, yeah. Give it up, yeah. Bring this on. Come on.
Our guest on the show today is the legendary adult entertainer Tasha Reign, who is talking about the successful relationship she is involved in. And by the way, I wasn't making light of the fact that your boyfriend supports your sexuality and is willing to take Instagram photos of you. I'm sure he's a great guy and he does a lot of supportive things. But Funkhauser, if you were if you were in a relationship with someone that looked like Tasha Reign, would you consider it to be a chore to take Instagram photos of her?
A chore?
Yeah, like, come on! I take all those Instagram photos for you. At least you could do is blank. It's like in relationship checks and balances where you're talking about compromise. I don't think many guys would feel compromised by doing what you just described.
I think what I mean is that a lot of women
think there would be a lot of high fiving involved, even if it was just with himself. But yeah,
no, a lot.
I'm sure he supports you in many ways, and he's a giver, and he's he's willing to go the extra mile in your relationship. I'm just saying that taking Instagram photos of your smoking hot girlfriend is not necessarily
of a woman often intimidates a man, and in that way, a lot of men will say, "Hey, babe, cover up. Hey, babe, stop wearing those slutty clothes outside. That's just for me. Hey, babe, I don't want you having sex with other women." But I don't think every guy is cool with the way that I am, is all I'm trying to say.
Sure. No, absolutely. I totally understand.
You're just saying you are. Okay, I get it.
No, I look, everything is situational. Like, you get into a relationship and you're going to have to compromise in some sort of way, and you're going to have to accept some sort of way, and then you're going to have to support other things that you might never have even given any thought to in other sorts of ways. And like, everything has its own flavor, and I believe that if you are with someone and you are all in, you are supportive of what they are and who they are and where they're trying to go with their life. So that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I agree.
So bearing in mind that your professional life is about to take an interesting twist, you were talking before we went on the air about and this is kind of like the fascinating thing. Like, everybody's seen your work. You have legions of fans that have seen your work and are familiar with it. But on the other side of the equation, there's all these sorts of things that go on around the periphery of what it is you do. And there's a whole industry that I never would have imagined. Like, I'm fascinated when I find out that there's industries I didn't know existed. Case in point, we might have talked about this on the show before in the past, Funkhauser, but I'm on a plane one day, and I'm sitting next to some dude, and we get talking, and what do you do? I'm on the radio. Oh, that's cool. What do you do? I'm in the icing business. I'm like, huh? He's like, well, confectionery, really. Icing. I was like, what, huh? You're in the icing business? He was like, my company makes an icing. That is, you ever eaten one of those cinnamon rolls at Costco? Well, yes, I have, sir. We make the icing for that. We make the icing for every single thing that is iced in Costco and at many grocery stores around the world. And I was like, you know what? Till I sat down in this plane seat next to this guy, I didn't know there was such an industry as supplying icing to Costco's and grocery stores around the world. He was like, 9 out of the 10 things that you've eaten in your life that came from a grocery store or a place like that have had our icing on it. And I was like, wow, fascinating stuff. And so anytime you get a chance to learn about a new industry that you didn't know existed, I think it's educational and good times. And bearing that in mind, what was this job that you went on a little while ago?
So on Tuesday, I was lucky enough to be hired to be a model for a new whiskey brand, and Wolf something whiskey. Can't remember, to be honest with you. It was a long day. And I was hired maybe a month out with about, 5 other adult film stars. And it was all through my agency. And I didn't ask too many questions about it other than, is there nudity involved? No, there's no nudity involved. Oh, okay. What's my rate? Oh, that's a lot. Okay, great. Sounds great. Like, I'd love to just do a regular photo shoot. So I was looking forward to it. But to be honest, I'm kind of bad at keeping track of my calendar. So I forgot until the day before. And I was getting all these text messages from my girlfriends like Tori Black, Alexis Monroe. Hey, are you going to be on set tomorrow? Hey, are you going to be on set? I'm like, oh, I didn't know it was like such a big group activity. So we show up to the set, and I recognize the hair and makeup artist and, the actual cameraman, but the producer and the art director and the stylist and all of the other people involved are all new people to me. They're all mainstream, whiskey people. And
so like half of the people there are from the adult entertainment world, and the other half of the folks there, you assume, not.
Correct. 2 worlds merging together as one. And it's interesting
colliding.
Because, yes, a lot of people have questions in this moment right now about how piracy is affecting the adult industry. And is there a way to still sustain your income and still have a job, even though people steal your content? What do you think? And so this is just a great example of one of the many things I can do to, still
it's another revenue stream.
Yeah, it's another revenue stream. And
based on the brand that you've built up with your hard work. Do you dance?
I feature dance all of the time, and I've actually kind of, pulled the reins in a little bit. I only want to do it once or twice a month max because it's a very time-consuming job, but it's very lucrative, and it's something that, keeps me relevant and still makes me able to have a career in the adult entertainment industry and reach a lot of people and have great advertisement.
A lot of people don't realize there's this tremendous parallel between the adult entertainment world and the music world, where like people no longer believe in paying for music. Like, you get it for free somehow. And that means people are consuming more music than ever before, but they're not paying for any of it. And so if you want to make a living as a guy or girl in a band, you have to hit the road an awful lot. Yep. And you gotta tour, and you gotta play, and you gotta be away from home, and same thing in the adult entertainment industry. Like, you don't actually get paid that much to make a lot of the movies a lot of the time. And now there's even less money on the table because of piracy and things of that nature. Yes. So you have this tremendous brand. You've probably been viewed more times than someone 10, 15 years ago doing this would have been. Like, millions and millions of people have access to you, know who you are fans of yours, but there's less money on the table. Therefore, you have to go out and engage your fan base when you feature dance. And that's tiring, like, it's something that you wanted to pull the reins in on. So an opportunity to go make money doing something that doesn't involve leaving the house and hitting the road and going to Sheboygan or wherever it is to feature dance is good times for you. And that's where opportunities like this spring up, right?
Absolutely. And social media has really just shifted the way that all of us communicate and interact as millennials. And, it's just, this photo shoot was unique in that it didn't have the regular structure of a promotional photo shoot. The owner of the company was very specific with, please do not hold up this bottle and act like you're advertising it. Please don't act like a traditional model. What we want is a bunch of hot porn stars taking selfies, partying, drinking our whiskey. And by the way, ladies, why don't you take some shots while you're at it and try out all these different flavors? So it was an exciting day on set because I got to be with my friends that I've known for over 6 years, almost all of them, and got to try new whiskey, new flavors, and then actually got to party and get our hair and makeup done and dress up and just take Instagram photos. And obviously professional video footage and photos were being taken, but in a way that made it look candid. So I think that was unique and fun, and I can't believe that that's my job. That's crazy. That shouldn't even be a job.
That's so interesting that you say that, because Funkhauser and I kind of get the same reaction. Like, Funkhauser, through some of his other work, is very connected to the adult entertainment world. So it's like, hey, would you like to have so-and-so on the show? Like, and when we started doing this, I made a very conscientious decision about how we're going to treat these situations. We would not be doing the classic old school radio thing of like, here she comes and she's so hot. Hey, baby, when did you lose your virginity? Like, it's just like such hackneyed garbage. I was like, no. We're just going to hang out and talk, and, they're interesting people with interesting stories, and we're going to trade interesting stories. And it's very interesting because, like, I was just like, we're going to approach this like real people. We're not going to be skeezy. And the reaction we get from people that listen, like, man, I can't believe you get to candidly hang out, and those are like your buddies, and it's very interesting. And that's exactly what your whiskey company was going for. They don't want it to be obvious. They feel like they are going to look way cooler by having it be a cool, casual, oh yeah, it's when we're hanging out, this is what we drink. Yeah, that's sort of what we do. And like, I can totally see how that would work because of the reaction from the way we've treated adult entertainers on this show, and as just buddies that we're hanging out with. I think, like, unwittingly, Funkhauser and I have scored so many more cool points than we would have if we'd objectified people when they kind of came on the show. Does that make sense?
Speak for yourself.
Yeah, I think, humanizing any sort of entertainer is really the best angle to come from. All of us play characters when we entertain, and that's great. But at the same time, when we're doing interviews and trying to get our voice heard and, just take intellectuality and sexuality and merge them, it's important to treat people the way that you want to be treated. And I definitely enjoy that interaction here on your show. And, on set that day, that's exactly how we were being treated. But the catch is, because we all know each other as the characters that we have sex with and interact with, I believe that side is kind of triggered. And so all of us were very much having a good time and having fun. And all of us are on different scales of that persona. And for me, I'm a little bit more conservative when it comes to on set in general, a porn set or a regular set. So I'm just, I'll take some pictures of my butt and my cleavage and have some fun. But we're talking, it got crazy. People were getting tipsy. Girls had their panties off. They were taking explicit photos, and it just became a hot mess. I was like, this is crazy. We're not even here for that. And I thought it was funny because it just showed that, people really love their job. Like Tori Black, Adriana Chachik, these girls, that is how they truly want to be, pay or no pay. And I love that about them. I think that genuine attitude and that authenticity is something that people wish they had. It's fabulous. But it was
very cool.
Yeah, it was nice to merge those two worlds and have a nice day with my friends on set. And I think the future's bright, whether pirates exist or not.
But hold on. But meanwhile, the people that have never worked in that environment before must have just been agog. They oh my gosh, this is really happening. This is a thing, and it's happening, and this is what I dreamed they would be like if you got them together naturally. It's true. It's all true.
Yeah, I heard one of the directors say, I'm going to write a book about this. I'm writing a book. Like, I heard him under his breath talking to his friend, like, this is amazing. Oh my God. And then I was like, I can hear you. I called him out.
What did he say?
And he was just like, oh, I was just saying, he felt almost like guilty about it. And I was like, oh, no worries. Like, I kind of was teasing them, but I think one of them made a comment about like, oh, you just don't know about what's going to happen with this group of girls. And I think I find myself sometimes on the defense when I don't need to be, where I'm just like, well, I've just chilled here the whole day and just done my job. So don't clump me in just because, some girl is doing something outrageous and fun. That doesn't mean that all of us are the same. So, that conversation did happen. A couple of interesting things happened that day, actually. The director that was an adult director. Like I said, there was many people on set, half mainstream, half not. He was super nice and super friendly. And when he came up to me that day, he, grabbed my arm like, hey, Tasha, how are you? And normally that's not an issue for most people. But for me, now when I'm on set, I have to start being more awkward because I just so strongly believe in consent and want to make sure that everything goes smooth, that I looked at him and I said, oh, I'm great. I don't like to be touched. And he was like shocked. You could tell he felt very, very offended. Like, oh my God, what are you trying to say I did? All he did was grab my arm in an affectionate, nice way. But for me, everybody just has their boundaries.
Did he put his hand around your arm? Like was it?
It was just like an affectionate, like, hey, I was in a makeup chair. Hey, Tasha, how are you? Like a little, almost like kind of like a hug. But I had met him before, at least virtually for sure. And there's nothing wrong with him. He's a totally nice, legitimate, really talented guy. But I was just, trying to say here that it's important to respect everybody's boundaries, and not everybody is okay with certain type of behavior just because one girl that's also a porn star is okay with that, if that makes sense.
I totally relate to what you're saying because I have such a bubble, and I really don't like it being burst. It's like, and there's certain things that bother me a lot. There's certain things that bother me a lot. I would rather fist bump than shake hands.
Absolutely.
If I hug, I go for the sideways thing because I don't want the fronts of our bodies to touch. And when a guy comes up and kind of gives you a shoulder rub, as guys do to other guys when they're trying to offer them encouragement, I'm like, stop. I do not enjoy that.
More AD on the radio.
Our guest on the show today, if you're just joining us, is adult entertainment legend, all-around bright bulb, sex-positive feminist, and published writer, Tasha Reign. Thank you for hanging out. So, if you're just joining the conversation, I find this fascinating. Anytime I find out about a new industry, I'm just entranced because it's like, oh wow, I didn't know that could be a thing.
She had to run to the bathroom.
Oh really? Is that what that is?
Yeah.
She left?
Yeah. She said, "I'll run. I'll be right back." So I said, "Wait, we're live." She goes, "I'll be right back."
Oh, okay.
I really have to go.
You know, when you gotta go, you gotta go. Funkhauser, where can you listen to Tasha's other show? Because Tasha, in addition to doing all the things that she does, has started doing a radio show with you. Like, you're producing it, right?
Yeah, you can find her right here on Spreaker. And iTunes, on America's Talk on Saturday night. Yeah, and if you just follow her on Twitter, you'll get the link. You get to listen to it.
And at Tasha Reign is where you can do that. What's she talk about on her show mostly? Like it's there's some filth, but it's not all filth. Is that what you were saying?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Right. Gotcha.
Sometimes it's about...
Dude, we're alone. There's no female in the room.
Of the
Quit
night.
the saxophone music. I
I'm telling
really
you about her show there. This is the mood of her show here. You know, today we talked about some news, the wall, and healthcare.
So
her takes on it.
Although this is cool music, what is this? Like, does this song have a title?
Yeah, this is called Melancholy Mole.
By
Production Music.
No kidding. Wow, they put a lot of effort into this anonymous production music. Play it, Daddy.
Okay, she's back.
Oh, good. Oh, thank God for that.
What were you guys doing?
Literally nothing.
Yeah, right. I'm going to listen to this later and figure out what happened.
No, we were actually talking about your show that you do with Funkhauser, and I was just like, it's not like this show. It's like, Thank you for that, Funkhauser. And then he played saxophone music, which is great when there's a female in the room, but when it's just the two of us, it's a little uncomfortable. I think Funkhauser enjoys the discomfort, so he kept playing it. Anyways, now she's back. Now play the saxophone music, Funkhauser.
Oh, it's gone now. I don't know what happened. It's gone forever.
Really? Are you serious?
Okay, here it is.
Yeah. See, it was just, me and Funkhauser in a room together. It's a little weird, right?
Totally.
I'm wearing my tassels. What's the problem?
That's a funny image.
No, it's an uncomfortable image, one that I'm going to have to squeeze you out of my mind's eye. You know, Funkhauser? I wish you wouldn't have done that. It's still there. All right, stop. You must stop the music. So, Tasha, you are on this shoot, and what's amazing to me about this is it's sort of like a promotional shoot for a new brand of whiskey. And what they thought they would do is hire a bunch of porn stars and not have you be an obvious spokesperson for it, but just make it look like, hey, when a bunch of smoking hot girls get together, they drink this whiskey and have super awesome fun times, right? There was no looking at the camera going like, love that whiskey of whatever name brand it is. There was
William Wolf whiskey.
That William Wolf, it gets a party started. There was none of that. It was just this very sort of subtle subliminal form of advertising that is it going to go on, it's not going to go on broadcast television or anything like that. It's solely for the web,
I believe
Instagram,
it is
right?
a very social media driven ad that they did. And most of it was just, the really ambiguous kind of this is the vodka, or this is the whiskey that we like to drink. This is how we party. Towards the end, we each had little video clips where we did do more of a traditional thing, but we didn't use the name of the whiskey. It was just kind of when you look at the camera with the this is fulfilling my desires, something like that. But most of the shoot was just very fun, very candid. We're partying in a fake nightclub, which is this great set that is in Inglewood in Los Angeles that I've shot at. Many adult videos have been shot there, but also many just mainstream videos. There's Kim K and Kanye all over the wall from previous shoots. it was just it was a fun day, and it was a unique way to advertise a product that gave me a lot of ideas. So I think the world is just changing, and you got to adapt with it. You've got to be progressive, and the way the media goes, you've got to kind of develop your brand in that same way.
You know, and you bring up a very good point. There's lots of people that do not have a brand, you know, like, and there's tons of self-help books that'll be like, develop your brand within your workplace. And like, but let's be real here. A lot of people are not in the actual business of branding, but I think you bring up a very good point that is universal. Look, we are entering a day and age, and we have been for a while, but now more than ever before, where there's a giant question mark above the future. And it's not just America, it's all over the world. It's, you know, my friends back in England where I grew up, they are, you know, going, all right, Brexit happened. What now? We're not sure. Here we're going, you know, like, and it's very interesting. Universally, I've spoken to people that are all about Trump. I've spoken to people that think Trump is an absolute travesty. And the one common thread that runs through all of them is like, there's a question mark. There is uncertainty over the next 4 years and beyond. And I think the real lesson that we learned from Tasha Reign here is like, look, up until a couple days ago, you did not know that you could go drink whiskey on Instagram and that could be part of your job, right? Like that would be.
No, I mean, I hadn't thought of that. No.
There is the way the world is changing and evolving, the way business is changing and evolving, and the way things are getting done is just moving at lightning speed. So I think the real lesson that we learn here is you always keep your eye out for opportunity. Like we have this, like I said, giant looming question mark over our heads for the foreseeable future. And in that day and age, it's very important to keep your eyes open, really kind of assess the terrain and navigate it appropriately and kind of sort of see actively where the world is going or try and anticipate where the world is going. And at the bottom line, say yes to opportunity when it knocks on your door because it's there. You just might have to look in some unusual places moving forward.
Absolutely. Could not agree more with you.
Starting from here, my head is
Real radio. 104.1.
There's something happening here, and you should know what it is.
The Dumbing Up of America. Now, more AD on the radio.
Funkhauser, do you have any friends that drink and drive?
I'm sure I do.
I mean, you go out to bars and you
They
see
don't tell
them
me
go
about
like,
it.
well, they don't. Yeah, I probably people don't.
Nowadays,
advertise
Uber
it,
and Lyft is
making
good.
things easier for sure. Well, what about you, Tasha? Like, do you have friends where you're like, please, hey, give me the keys, Uber? Like, do you ever have that situation where you run into a moment where you've got to dissuade someone from doing something dumb?
I'm going to be honest. The only person I can think of that I've had to at least vocalize that opinion to is my older sister. And I know she's not going to listen to this, so I'm not worried, but I can't even imagine somebody around my age that I know that I would associate with doing that. I'm sure it could happen and it might just happen, but in the last few years, that's just never even been on the forefront of anybody that I know's mind. Like, no, get an Uber or get a ride with somebody. Nobody, who's drinking and driving? Who's still doing that? Are you?
Well, especially if you live in Los Angeles where parking is such a biznatch anyway. You know, it's just like the idea of having to pay $50 to park. No, I'm going to pay $15 for an Uber instead, and it's going to be significantly easier, and there will be no worries. And no, absolutely not. Like, I actually don't drink at all ever.
Wow, you're sober.
Even a little bit. I am I am Rock Radio's designated driver. But if you do have somebody in your life that might have a little glug vroom problem, the folks over at Tostitos have come to your rescue. Have you seen this? The Tostitos folks?
No.
So if your friends aren't responsible enough to tell you that you're too drunk to drive, maybe your tortilla chips will be. Tostitos is rolling out a new bag right now that has a built-in breathalyzer. So you breathe into the sensor on the bag, and if it detects alcohol on your breath, the design on the bag turns red and flashes a message that says, don't drink and drive.
Obsessed.
There you go.
Love it. What a great marketing tool. Love it.
Yeah, bags are only going to be around for a limited time, but you should definitely try and get one for your party for the big football game that's coming up. Yeah. You know, I mean, it's Tostitos, though. Like, generally speaking, when I think of people who are going to be driving impaired that enjoy Tostitos, I don't think of people that are drinking. Like, that's stoner food. Like, it's just like...
I don't even know what a Tostito really is.
Delicious.
It's like a
is what
Frito?
it is. It's like it's a chip. It's one of those sort of like reinforced triangular chips that has a little bit more little bit more body to it. So when you stick it in the salsa or the queso, it's not going to break into a million frustrating pieces as
like
you're trying
bugle.
to eat. Yeah, like a bugle. Yeah. There you go. What about let me ask you this: wacky tobacco on this video shoot that you did for the whiskey? Has that become a ubiquitous thing in Hollywood? Like, is that like, look, is it recreationally legal yet?
Marijuana.
In California, it's one of those things that I know it's medicinally legal, and I know recreationally it's become legal in a lot of different places.
I don't think it's legal here recreationally, but I don't know.
No, it passed. It just hasn't gotten into effect yet.
So it's gonna be, but it isn't yet.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. Nobody was smoking weed that day.
Funkhauser, do you have a prescription card? Is that a thing that you do? Yeah.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
It's legal.
Think about this on the radio.
You know, it's so funny. Like, I don't understand, because I know so many people that will not get a prescription card that do it right, and it's just like, it's legal. Why don't you smoke this stuff like a chimney? You vape literally constantly. How come you don't have a prescription card? And the answer is universally the same. If it ever happens where it becomes illegal again, I don't want there being a paper trail of me being a marijuana user.
Or if I'm going to run for president, I'm not going to get on that list.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
I have a legal card, and I mean, I've used it before. It makes it a little bit swifter, but I totally get like the
I have problems
stigma
sleeping
attached.
Now you're. It's funny because like I was with a high school friend that moved to L.A. Before I was living in California, working for the station in San Diego. When I was just in Texas, not going back and forth, I had a friend. I was like, "So do you have a prescription card now?" Like this girl I went to high school with, and she was like, "Yeah, I totally do." I was like, "What?" Well, what was the specific ailment that you reported to get yourself this prescription card? She was like, same thing that used to get me out of gym class. Menstrual cramps. I was like, oh, I see what you did there. And I was like, do you have a problem with that? She was like, not really. For what reason? Like, and this is an alien thing for me. Funkhauser, Tasha, when you went in to get your prescription card, what was the specific complaint that you had that would be treated with said marijuana?
I believe I told them that I have high anxiety, and I want to say they said that wasn't one of the things that you could say. And then I'm not going to lie, they gave me a list of the topics that I
So
could
like you
choose
said,
from.
I've got high anxiety, and they're like, guess again. Here's a list.
Yeah. And he was like an elderly little, nice man in the back of this small little office in Hollywood. And it just seemed so sketch. I was like, this isn't right. This ain't right. It ain't right. But I did it anyway. And I got my card and I picked up some weed and then I smoked it. And it doesn't give me that same feeling it did in high school. It just makes me feel paranoid. So unfortunately, I think I'm retired from the weed situation.
This is what, like, I don't smoke, drink, take drugs, do nothing. I do zip zing nada. I have no vices
You're
left.
perfect.
But
you're a sex addict. I'm just kidding.
No, that's the other thing. I don't believe in like,
sex.
And this is for me. I don't believe in casual sex. I don't like I said, I'm not evolved enough to like have that be an okay thing for me. So it's just the way I've decided to go through life, and I think that's it's good for me. No judgment on
Did you call
anybody
him
else.
cute?
It feels
so cute. It's the first I've heard it being cute, but yeah. Okay.
Yeah. This is a first. Aw, shucks. But here's the thing. Like, what did you wind up picking up off of that list?
I want to say I picked up like something regarding sleep. Like that I couldn't sleep that well.
Funkhauser? What's your prescription exist from?
Oh, what, are you talking to me? Oh, I have problems sleeping.
You do, really?
Mm-hmm.
There you go. I'm glad to know that's all taken care of. And look, I mean, if you're me, you believe.
Oh,
I think that far and away.
You guys are so gross.
I think far and away, like, I should be the person that is advocating for marijuana legalization. Why? Because I don't smoke it. I have no interest in smoking it. And I think you need someone that is going to come in without an agenda to speak to this. And look, I mean, first and foremost, what with it being legal in the places that it's legal, the rest of the world is going to follow. Why are we dragging our feet on this? The other thing is, look, I'm a big believer in giving something back to what I consider to be the backbone of America, farmers. California is a state of agriculture. People think Hollywood, but what you don't realize is the farming population in California is a very large one. And since the legalization of medicinal marijuana, number one cash crop in the state of California. That old expression, lose the farm, like to lose the farm, comes from the fact that farmers, it was a little frosty in April, our life is over. The expression "lose the farm" happens because it came to be because people lose the farm. And if you could give a little bit more security, if you could give a little bit more of a chance to survive to farmers in places other than California, well, I think that would be an amazing, incredible thing. Plus, there's all the tax advantages and yada, yada, yada. But that's not necessarily what this show's about. Interesting.
Yeah, I love that aspect. I don't think many people actually think about how far it reaches.
See there, that's why I should be the advocate for it, because people
make it happen.
Although people look at me and immediately assume it's just a ubiquitous thing. They see the shorts, they see the fact that I look like an overgrown skateboarder that should be hanging around outside of a 7-Eleven trying to ollie, and they go, "This guy definitely smokes pot. You want to go burn one on the break?" No, I don't. Really? Never? Are you sure? Because you look sleepy and you talk slow. And
why don't we just take you to Macy's and get you one of those outfits?
I would, the circumstance I would smoke pot under?
Burlington Coat Factory.
Burlington Coat Factory. When I would smoke pot, I would definitely, if I actually had a pain management situation. Because they'll sign you up for an opioid lickety-split. They'll sign you up for something that is a close relative of heroin without even thinking about it. And if I'm in a situation where it's like, all right, you are in pain, you need pain management, how are we going to go about this? Well, you could either eat the marijuana cookie or you could take hillbilly heroin. I'm eating the cookie literally every single time. That would be the one circumstance under which I would break my straight edge lifestyle.
I like it.
Funkhauser, how much time do we have left?
3 minutes.
3 minutes? Shall we do some news before we wrap things up here with Tasha Reign?
Fine. I can do that. Not that there's any news today or anything.
Yeah, nothing's going on.
Nothing's such a boring day.
Such a boring day, you guys. Such a boring day.
What is going on in the world of Funkhauser?
Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback Ben Roethlisberger is hinting at retirement, but says he will consider all options.
Consider all options. A lot like that scumbag does when a woman says no. Next.
President Trump has narrowed his choices for the Supreme Court down to 3. Still hard saying that.
Oh. Three choices for the Judge Judy, Judge Joe Brown, and Judge Reinhold. I'm going to go out
Trump himself. As the main
I think he'll make his final pick by asking all 3 of them independently how many people they think were at his inauguration. Go on.
Kellyanne Conway reportedly punched someone at an inaugural ball.
Punched someone?
Punched someone.
Who'd she punch?
Someone.
Hold on. Well, yeah. I'm sure she described it as an alternative greeting. That was an alternative handshake. Go on.
A recreational pot shop in Seattle caught fire yesterday morning.
Yeah, fire department called immediately. Well, not immediately, but nevertheless, I believe. They
Whoa, man, fire, man, whoa.
There was, oh my gosh, I think it was like from 2008. Like there was a house fire in San Diego. I think it was. There was a house fire in 2008, and they interviewed. There was it was a grow house, and I don't know if it was a legal grow house or an illegal grow house. Bottom line, there was a house fire, whole bunch of pot plants burned up, and they interviewed the fireman that put it out afterwards, and he was just like giggling. He's like, I inhaled a lot. And I was like, what do you do? Because he's like a fireman that's definitely going to fail a drug test, but the reason he failed the drug test was because he was performing his job. It's a weird one.
That's weird. I like it.
Oh, man, we're all out of show. All right, Tasha Reign, thank you so much for hanging. Thank you for enlightening us yet again today. At Tasha Reign is where you can follow her. We'll be back next week. We'll do this all over again. Thank you, Funkhauser. We've had a fun week, haven't we?
At least we've had a fun week.
Yay, Tasha Reign!